There.
I see now. Thanks. Welcome everyone to the April 28th meeting of the Law Committee of the Albany County Legislature. Nice to see you all. Majority Counsel Kennedy, could you please take the roll?
Sure, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you.
Legislator Platsky,
Present.
Cunningham, Bergdorf,
Present.
Feeney,
Here.
Kuhn,
Here.
Mayo,
Here.
Peter,
Here.
Ricard,
Present.
and Wayland.
I'm here.
8 present, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you very much. Have you had a moment to review the minutes of the last meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. Jennifer's, Ms.
Make a
Whalen, is that-
motion.
Second.
Thank
To
you.
make a motion.
Second by Mr. Peter. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Minutes approved unanimously. Let's go to item 2, local law D. I don't know if Mr. Barrero is on with us this evening, but I think this. Sorry, wrong one. This is the restaurant law.
Yep.
The wrong notes here. Mr. Grimm,
Yes, thank you,
would
Chairwoman.
you like
I
to say a
appreciate
couple
it.
words on this?
Yes, the councils have been talking and after some discussion, I've agreed to table this in anticipation of a bipartisan agreement that can work out with some changes. And this will also likely require a new public hearing because of the change. But I think I'm okay with that right now, as long as we keep moving in the right direction.
Okay, very good. Are we amending this evening or are we just tabling for now?
I think, yeah, I think we'll just table for now.
Okay, very good. Number 2 is tabled at request of sponsor. Number 3, this is Mr. Barrero's. I believe this is also tabled at request of sponsor.
Yes, Madam Chairwoman.
Great, thank you. That brings us to number 4. And of course, this is when Granicus play. Who is here on item 4? Okay, authorize an agreement, New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services.
Hi, good evening, committee members. I'm here to present on behalf of the County Executive's Office and the Public Defender, Alternate Public Defender, and 18B Assigned Counsel Program. So this is a request to amend the year 3 of the Hurrell Herring statewide expansion of indigent legal services. So the year 3 budget was recently, the year 3 plan was recently finalized with ILS, and we're looking to reflect that change. Really, the funding will support new personnel, attorneys, support staff, subject matter experts, onboarding costs, training, mentoring, and other IT and software improvements. It's 100% state funded. There is no county share, and it is anticipated in the current budget.
Very good. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Alderson?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Bergdorf.
I read something about this in some of the articles on the budget agreement. Have they instituted any new money to this program, or are what we are doing here tonight is just adopting what we thought we would get over the 3 to 5 year plan? Is there any difference in the amount of money to the county as a result of this year's budget?
Not that I'm aware of, unless Judge Herrick, you are.
Not in, Mr. Bergdorf, not in reference to the statewide expansion monies. That's the same. It's 26 million and a quarter, 26,264 over 5 years. This is the 3rd year, 60%, about 15,700,000 we will have received. But there are other grants that we get from the state through ILS.
And have they been increased?
No, not yet. I anticipate that there will be further grants. They have remained consistent throughout COVID, but there is money, and there's a new grant application, which is a family court application, which we're applying for, and that would be a 3-year grant. But in the criminal realm, I haven't seen any new grant opportunities, but they're consistently paying the agreed upon monies from previous grants.
Great. Thank you very much, Judge.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Judge Herrick. Are there any more questions on this item?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Feeney? Oh.
Well, no, I think Mr. Peter might have a question.
Mr. Peter?
Not a question, just if there were no further questions, I was going to make a motion, Madam Chair.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do, so I'll second.
Very good. Motion by Mr. Peter, second by Mr. Feeney. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Thank you. Passes unanimously. This brings us to item 5, authorizing an agreement regarding excess insurance and amending the 2021 Albany County budget. Thank you, Judge Herrick. I appreciate
Thank
you
you.
being here. And
Thank
Mr.
you.
Alderman, thank you. So on item 5, Ms. Clemens.
Good evening. I'm also joined by Eugenia Condon, County Attorney.
Great, thank you. Welcome, Ms. Condon.
Thank you.
This is the annual renewal for a excess insurance policy. The policy is for Midwest Employers Casualty Company. There's an increase in the premium this year, and so we're requesting a simultaneous budget amendment as well.
Madam Chairwoman, if I could just
Yes.
add to this, this is the renewal that went through at the beginning of the year. The broker, Arthur J. Gallagher, did market this to Midwest, who has had the policy, the coverage for several years, as well as Safety National, who was our prior carrier. Basically, in the public realm, Safety National and Midwest are the only public carriers in this area. Safety National declined to make any coverage options at this point. So Midwest was the only premium quote that we received. The premium is up about $30,000. Premium goes hand in hand with payroll. As payroll goes up, premium will go up. We also, losses do go up. They look at our losses over time. We have several long-term, meaning, over 10 years, over 20 years, over 30 years, long-term claims that have maxed out, but they look at that, and that is contributing to the increase and the hardening of the market for us. This has been going on for several years now.
Very good.
It's a
Okay.
difficult market for public employers. This increase is consistent with what we've been seeing. Our current losses are not overall not bad. HR has done a very good job, and our departments with monitoring safety and trying to maintain safety. It's really the long-term cases that are driving this.
Very good, thank you. Are there any questions on this item? Mr. Rickard?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. I remember we discussed this before, Eugenia. So do you anticipate, and I know it's a loaded question, is this going to go up in the future because of those cases in the back? You said 10, 20 years ago. This
Well,
could go
so
up.
as,
Go ahead.
as these people come off of coverage, it should start to ease down, hopefully, but the market is hard right now, so we don't
I
know.
understand.
They continue to market it. It gets marketed every year. But right now there are no carriers. It's an $800,000 SIR with 1 million for law enforcement. We try to keep it at that level. We raised law enforcement a couple of years ago up to 1 million because law enforcement and nursing home drive it. We don't really want to raise it any higher because having that SIR on those claims is not really, it's easier to pay $30,000 premium than it is to pay higher SIRs per claim.
Yeah, unfortunately, I understand what you're going through. In my full-time business, I have a similar situation being a general contractor, so I'm
Yeah.
quite well aware of the situation. And I appreciate your efforts in trying to save the county money, though. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Bergdorf, your hand is up.
Yes, Eugenia. So it's 800,000 self-insured retention for a regular employee. So they don't start paying until 800,001.
Mhm.
$1 million for a police officer or a sheriff, so that they don't start paying until $1,000,001. What is the employer's liability limit of $2 million? Is that an umbrella for us per incident, or is that an annual umbrella for us? Could you explain that component of the policy limits?
I think that, I believe that that's the total limit on it. When we hit that, the policy pays completely. So that kicks in as the total limit. So we're not
So-
going to be, oh, go ahead.
So does that mean we can, for all employees across the
Yes.
spectrum?
Yes,
So the most we can ever pay is,
2 million,
would be 2 million, two police claims
yes,
that max out.
yes.
And then everything after that, is it limitless, or is there a top end to the liability?
Well, it's the possibility of you having to max out like that is not likely going to happen. So what's going to happen is you're going to have smaller claims to get to that 2 million. So you
Yep.
hitting that aggregate is going to take a long time to get there. It's an
Okay.
aggregate, but you're not, it's going to take you a long time to hit an aggregate like that on most of your claims.
Have we ever come close to $2 million?
I think the commissioner could answer that.
No, we have claims hitting the cap, the 1 million, but not to 2.
Okay,
Because they're not in the same year.
all right. So really, it would be an odd situation in which the policy would pay something in excess of $2 million in a calendar year.
Yeah.
So it's really catastrophic insurance.
Yes.
Okay.
And the policies
you.
have changed over the years, so the coverage limits have changed over the years. These are the current policy limits we have. They've changed over the years from what we have had. So, they may have, and I don't recall what they were 5 years ago, but the limits were lower. I think law enforcement and the others were probably 700. I don't remember what the catastrophic limits were, but everything was lower. So everything is getting raised higher as we go forward. It's just the same as it was on the liability insurance. We went from 50,000 SIR to $1 million. As time goes on, we pay more to the carrier, and their investment is less.
Just like your car, your homeowner is having a large deductible, so to drive down the premium.
That's exactly. Yeah.
Madam Chair?
Thank you, Ms. Condon. Are there any other questions?
I had a quick one, Vicki.
Yes, Mr. Mann.
Eugenia, are there any lawsuits pending right now from the nursing home from COVID?
Lawsuits? No, we
Yeah,
don't
that's
have any
okay.
COVID lawsuits.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair?
No? Yes, Mr. Peter.
No question, but if there's no other questions, I'd like to make a motion.
Sure. Is there a
Second,
second?
second.
Thank you, Mr. Feeney. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, thank you. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Ms. Condon and Ms. Clement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on, Granicus. There we go. Okay. Item 6. Authorize an agreement with New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services regarding the gun-involved violence elimination grant. And with Mr. Connors here.
My name is Lori Haggerty. I'm the Deputy Director and here for Mr. Connors. And this is a request again to renew the contract with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services for our GIVE, it's the Gun and Violence Elimination Grant. It is the same amount as last year. This grant funds a full-time probation officer and 50% of another officer who is our field intelligence officer assigned to the Capital Region Crime Analysis Center. It also funds some overtime and GPS monitoring.
Okay, I could make out what you said, but seemed to be some feedback or issues. Do you have two devices on audio at the same time?
I do not.
All right, could everyone else mute?
Madam Chair, I think I heard Lori when talking.
I'm sorry. I can call in. Would that help? I was testing out Zoom earlier and it seemed to be working fine. Okay, I'll call in.
Let, if you don't mind, let's try that because the echo with other people's voices as well.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you.
I may have to remove her video depending on how she calls in.
Okay. This should just take a moment. It doesn't look good.
I see her now. Lori,
Can
you
you
may
hear
have to turn off your speakers.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay, again, this is a request to renew the contract with DCJS and for our GIVE grant. The amount is the same as last year. This funds a full-time probation officer and also 50% of another probation officer who's our field intelligence officer and who's assigned to the Crime Analysis Center. It also funds some overtime and GPS monitoring.
Very good. Are there questions from Ms. Haggerty?
Quick question, Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Bergdorf.
I see that the partners are the DA, the Albany Police, and DCJS. The sheriff doesn't participate in this or any other law enforcement agencies across the county?
No, the sheriffs have participated in the past. I believe in the last 2 years they have not. So Albany Police is the only law enforcement agency that participates.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Graham.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how do we measure the success of this grant? What are the, how do we determine clear practical outcomes that this money is actually being spent and has some effect? How do you measure it?
I would believe one measurement would be the success of a probationer completing a term of probation without violating their probation.
Do you track that kind of stuff? I mean, what kind of things do you track to determine if this is successful or not?
That's a good question that I don't have the exact answer to right now, but again, a term of probation that's not violated.
I just think if
I-
they're clear yardsticks, then it's easier to evaluate the success of the program. And of course, that's true with most of the things we pass, frankly. Thank you.
That's true. Thank you.
Yeah, if you can come up with some, if you follow up with some yardsticks, that would be very helpful. Thanks.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm.
Madam Chair, quick follow-up question.
Sure, Mr. Berger.
Something along the lines of, and I am going to support this, but you read stories all the time about people out on probation for gun violence, and then they get rearrested again, and they go back in for gun violence, and they are ROR'd. So I guess I'm wondering how this has been working in conjunction with the modifications to the bail system, because you can find people with guns, but you can't incarcerate them unless they've used it to commit some higher level felony, and then it seems even in some instances it doesn't work. I don't know.
That might be a little beyond the scope of what's in front of us this evening. Interesting to bring up because of the changes, but I don't know that that's something we necessarily need to address right now.
I guess I could just add a little to that. We have seen an increase in more serious offenders, violent offenders, on the bail reform release ROR. RUS, and we have seen an increase in GPS monitoring that the judges have ordered. But we monitor and we notify the court of any violations, and then it's up to the court to act.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Feeney.
If there's no further questions, I'd like to move it.
Very good. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That was an aye, right, Mr. Kuhn? Yeah, okay, thank you. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Haggerty. Appreciate you being here. Last but very much not least, Karen Ziegler is here on item 7, authorizing an agreement with the New York State Office for the Prevention of Domestic Violence. I can't find you on my screen. Oh, there you are. Great.
Thank you for your time. This is a grant that we have had for several years. Previously, we had it under the Department of Health, and this year in the budget, it was moved to the Office for the Prevention of Domestic Violence. So that's the big change. It's an increase in grant funding, which we're very happy to have. This is the grant that allows us to work with 14 colleges and UAlbany so we have memorandums of understanding where we provide services to both the students, the faculty, and the staff of all the campuses. It's to address sexual violence, dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking. So we do trainings with the colleges. We do freshman orientations. We do athletic trainings. We do events throughout the year. We encourage a lot of conversation about consent and just really meaningful communication and relationship issues with people. So we're thrilled to have the money. One caveat is this begins May 1st, and I did have a letter just yesterday from OPDV asking if it could be signed off on. So if it pleases the committee, if you would approve it, could I please have a conversation with you around getting permission to sign this as soon as possible, because they are asking, and again, it's a May 1st start date. And with the new grantor, I think they would like to try to tie this all up.
Very good. Are there any questions from Ms. Ziegler?
I just want to make a statement or a comment, Madam Chair.
Sure, Mr. Ricard.
Thank you. Karen, I just want to say you do an exceptional job, especially on social media, getting your message out there. It's everywhere in all forms of social media, and I think that's great, bringing attention to this terrible situation. So it's really appreciated, and thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. We really have had an amazing opportunity in this past year to really push our social media accounts, and we're very thrilled. We were incredibly fortunate to get picked up by a local influencer who has a huge following. So we're just ecstatic that that it has been so well accepted.
Great job.
Thank you.
Very good.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Bergdorf.
we ran into this once before, and I don't remember what committee it was in, but there was a request for an early signage. And I think my sense is here is everybody is supportive. So, I don't know if it takes anything to amend our motion to say that it could be signed early as long as it was worked out appropriately with the county attorney's office. Or Rebecca, I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I don't know that we need to amend the motion, but we certainly could follow up with Karen. All council could tomorrow and help her out with that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it.
Thank you, Mr. Urquhart.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Peters, the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No, thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Ziegler. Appreciate you being here again.
Oh, thank you so very much. Thank you for
No
your support.
problem. Sure. I think there is no further business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion, Madam Chair.
How did I know?
Second.
Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Peter. Second by Mr. Feeney. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
You too,
Bye-bye.
Madam. Bye, everybody.